Alright, hello and welcome again. We are back in the Pokemon Speedruns Marathon 2019. I automatically went into podcast mode there and said the wrong thing. But here we are. We have RDA with us, running Pokemon Rumble. And joining him on commentary, we have JP. He's in. So, whenever you're ready, mate.
Alright, I'm ready. So I'm feeling like a File A kind of guy today, but what do you think, JP? File B or File A?
I think we're in an A mood.
Alright. That's what I was feeling too. Alright. So, hi, I'm RubberDuckyAssassin. Timing starts for all the normal categories on the selection of a file. So I guess we're just going to get into this. We'll start the timer on go. So, 3, 2, 1, go. Alright.
Good job.
Clap is in the chat. So this is Pokemon Rumble. This is a 2009 WiiWare game made by Umbrella, the same people that made Pokemon Channel. So obviously, you know, you're getting good quality gameplay from here. Unlike most Pokemon games where we play as a trainer, that gets to tell what the Pokemon are doing and you play as the trainer, we actually play as the Pokemon. And instead of them being, I guess, actual living animals, they're just little wind-up toys. In order to wind them up, you have to use a magical key that you are obtained for somehow. And we just get to move around and beat stuff up. So that's pretty much the main premise of the game. You just go into these stages, beat up Pokemon, and then play some Fortnite in between. So what we're seeing here, for the first 5 minutes, is going to be a little tutorial level. It's going to show what not to do in Fortnite, and then it's going to kick us out, and then we're going to actually start to play some video games. But this Rattata is just going to be a little naughty. Go into the Battle Royale when he's not supposed to. You're technically able to actually beat this Battle Royale with this Rattata, but it would take a very long time. It would also just be very difficult. So
I wondered if it was possible. You would have to have extremely good dodging strats.
Yeah, I wouldn't know how to do it. I've tried, and it's not easy. And it's also really hard to reset, do attempts of, because you have to watch that 2-minute cutscene. But yeah, so we're not able to skip a lot of these little animations and text boxes right now. Oh, this is fantastic RNG. Okay, cool. Alright, so usually
oh, and you got the song. Nice.
I did get the song. So usually we'll want a Wigglytuff, Butterfree, a Parasect. We didn't get any of those, so Pikachu is the next best. Pikachu can just sometimes miss, because we actually have a little bit of invincibility frames at the beginning of the Battle Royale. And Pikachu's attack takes a lot less time to charge up than those 3 Pokemon I mentioned. But it was pretty far away, so it worked out in the end. So, yeah, we just pretty much SD at the beginning of that Battle Royale as soon as possible, because again, it's not really possible to beat that. So you want to SD as fast as possible, and then we enter this tutorial level. Every toggle that you see me doing that's not hitting a Pokemon is me just getting a little bit further into the stage when I'm not supposed to be able to move. Because each text box is supposed to just stop you in your tracks and then pause the game a little bit. But I just time it so that I can tackle at the same time as the text box showing up. Another thing that you might, if you've seen Rumble before, either in PSR or if you've just seen runs of it before, I'm moving a lot more fluidly than normal. I recently got a Pro controller for this game, because originally I pretty much just played on the Wiimote, where you only have 4 directions you can go, up, down, left, right. You could kind of go diagonal, it's just a little difficult to do it on the Wiimote's gamepad. But with this Pro controller, I can go in all the dimensions, because we're able to do so in the game. It's just you can't do it on a Wiimote. So it makes this stage in particular a lot easier.
Parallel dimensions.
Honestly. So it makes it a lot easier to do this stage in particular because we're not going as fast. So making tight turns and taking up the least amount of space like to move through each room is a lot more preferred for this level. So in each level, oh my goodness, what is he doing?
Dude, he's scared. He's
All
so
right.
scared.
That was okay. So at the end of each stage, there's a boss. So there's just a big Pokemon boyo that wants to beat us up. So we have to beat him as fast as possible. The Ivysaur, like, there's always going to be a little bit of RNG that's in each boss fight. I can pretty much tell for the most part whenever they're going to do specific moves, but whenever they run around like that, it's never really something I can predict or manipulate to do something else. So it's kind of just how that has to be. You just have to adapt to that.
A 440 time is pretty average for that.
Yeah,
So
that wasn't too bad. So now on to the actual category. Pretty much every run starts off just kind of chill tutorial mode. But once we get out of Ivysaur is when each category separates. So we're doing all stages passwords, which is pretty much just complete every stage in each rank and also beat the Battle Royale. So there's 6 stages in each rank, and there's 4 ranks in this category that we're going to do. And it's just go through the stages as fast as possible. Something really cool that was recently kind of discovered within the past, I want to say 3 months. Pretty much every time before about June of this year, Rattata would pretty much just be our main source of speed when it comes to passwords. Because this particular Rattata is a shiny, speedy Rattata. Instead of having like normal like natures in this game, they decided to put in a thing called special traits, which is they do similar things to natures, but like boosting attack, boosting speed. Some of them is like they can't flinch or they drop more money when they kill Pokemon. But those special traits can be really helpful in the speedrun, especially, of course, the one that's called Speedy. And that nature or special trait doubles the normal walking speed of a single Pokemon. So the Rattata is just walking extra fast.
now, how do the password Pokemon get into the game? Because obviously they aren't standard when you start a new game.
So, the passwords are just codes that Nintendo gave out when the game was newer. And you would put them into one of the little stations at the bottom of the hub world, and then it would just give you a Pokemon. The way that we have them in, like, already without having to put in those passcodes is we save them onto our Wiimote on a different save file. It's just always been the fastest way to use these Pokemon. And instead of thinking of it as like a new game plus, we're pretty much just making it so that we don't have to waste time putting in the passcodes each time. It's just already onto our Wiimotes, so we don't use duplicates of any Pokemon. We only have one Rattata, we only have one Shaman, we only have one Raichu, and we only have one Blastoise. We're not going to be using all 3 of those, hopefully. Hopefully this run is good enough we can only use all 4 of them, sorry. Hopefully we'll only be able to use 3.
Hopefully we won't need Blastoise.
Yeah, Blastoise is a backup Pokemon.
Blastoise has that big tail.
Yes.
Oh, you missed the R-Box skip.
I didn't get the timing either. So pretty much the way that we routed this particular rank is that each boss has a certain amount of defense, I guess you could say. Instead of having like stats with numbers, there's just a dot system. So like Rattata, I believe, has 2 attack and 1 defense, like 1 dot of defense and 2 dots of attack, I believe is what it is. So each Pokemon has a dot system of attack and defense. There's no special attack or special defense in this game.
It's basically like a star rating on how good they are at those particular things.
Yeah. And also in this game, type immunities are not a thing. So I can hit ghost types with normal type moves, I can hit flying types with ground type moves, so on and so forth. And also, for whatever reason, normal type in this category, or in this game, is like a very neutral type. I'm pretty sure everything just kind of gets hit by it neutrally, instead of even like a ghost type getting hit with it as what's the word I'm looking for? Like not very effective, I guess. We pretty much just routed this rank by going off of who are like the weakest bosses, and we'll put them last. So how many times it takes for us to use Double Edge to kill the boss, we go like that's pretty much how we made each route, instead of having to worry about anything else. Because the length of the stage is always going to be the same, as long as you're playing it correctly.
The only thing that really causes any sort of time loss in this area is the power farming, because in order to make it to the Battle Royal, you have to have a naturally gained Pokemon of the rank's power. So for C rank, the one that we're on right now, you need 100 power. And RDA is getting extremely unlucky with the power drops.
This is very not good.
Uncut Giga.
Come on. Okay, well. That's fun. So we're gonna hope for one more thing. And if that doesn't happen, then we'll just lose some more time, but that's okay.
And it's a marathon that's expected to happen.
Try not to die. I could die and go into Blastoise or Raichu, but we do not want to do that, really. Oh my gosh! Wow. Alright, we're good. What is this? Alright, so something that we pretty much always want to happen in each rank is that we want one of the bosses to drop. Ideally, obviously, we do not want the last stage's boss to drop, because obviously I wasn't sure if the boss was going to drop, so you can't really rely on that, because if you rely on the last boss to drop, you're going to lose a lot of time, even if you're on like a good pace run, because it could just not happen. Boss drops aren't the most common thing, but they're really, really good. Pretty much every single boss after the 3rd stage, if it drops, it's most likely going to be the power that you need. So it's obviously the best case scenario, but that that last boss is always a Monka Giga if you don't have the power yet.
Yeah, it was very lucky that we did get the drop. Do we know like the actual like percentage drop rates?
I do not know
that.
Okay. I do not. Yeah. The only thing that is really known about drop rates is that there are certain things you can look for to know if a Pokemon's going to drop. So there are shiny Pokemon in this game. Shiny Pokemon will always drop regardless of what happens to them, as long as you kill them. So shiny Pokemon are always good to kill, especially later into the ranks, as you've completed multiple stages. You want to look for shiny Pokemon. Other things you can look for is if a Pokemon gets stunned. So like if you hit them,
stun Pokemon will always drop.
Yeah, like if you hit them and they kind of get a little dizzy, it just means that they're just gonna drop if you hit them again. It took a little bit to get the defense drop on the Flareon, but that's okay. Or if they're the only way for me to put it, I just call them shiny boys. But if they have kind of like a sparkly tint to the Pokemon, just like on their player model, I guess. They'll literally just be small stars just surrounding the Pokemon, and that means it'll drop regardless of if you kill it, or if you kill it. So yes, that is that's how we. That's like the only really. That's the only real way to know if a Pokemon's going to drop or not. Otherwise, it's pretty much just luck. If you have an attack that has a high critical hit ratio, that is also kind of helpful, but that's not something that we can really ideally rely on, because none of our Password Pokemon have those kinds of moves. So there's that.
So now we've switched to a different Speedy Boy.
Yeah, this is a bigger rodent that is also faster. So back in June of this year, pretty much all the password categories revolved around Rattata surviving as long as possible, and doing all the movement and everything. But just a fellow gamer decided to DM me on Twitter asking me why I didn't use this Raichu. And I had no idea what they were talking about because I didn't know this Raichu existed. But he showed me like the Bulbapedia link for all the password Pokemon in this game, and sure enough, he was right there. So I pretty much just didn't know this Raichu existed because I used Cerebi, so if we could just cancel Cerebi, that'd be great.
Delete.
I don't know why I never decided to check Bulbapedia for their password Pokemon as well. I just figured that they both have the same lists, but I guess I gave Cerebi too much credit. But yeah, this is another password Pokemon. The move that I'm using is Agility, which does the same thing as Speedy does. It doubles the Pokemon's natural walking speed. The only thing different is that I have to do an input at the beginning of each stage. But once the input is put in, pretty much just set in stone and I'm good to go. So at the beginning of each stage, I'm just using Agility and then running as fast as a rodent, I guess.
as fast as a speedy Raichu.
Yeah. So, Raichu's walking speed automatically is just faster than Rattata. The reason we didn't use it in rank C is because, for whatever reason, my other attacking move is Thunder, which is a really good move. It has 5 stars of damage, and it's also stab. Stars,
and
I guess,
it can
is
paralyze.
Yeah, that too. So 5 is like the maximum amount of stars a Pokemon move can have. So it's obviously a really strong move. It's also pretty quick. But for whatever reason in rank C, it just doesn't do a good amount of damage to any of the bosses at all. Rattata just destroys the bosses. And Rattata destroys the bosses up until about rank S. So pretty much what it boils down to is when does Raichu start to actually be faster? By saving enough time in the stage with how fast it is to having the fights be a little bit longer than what Rattata would have. Typically Rattata will pretty much kill every boss within 3 hits after rank C. And obviously Raichu takes a few more hits, but it does just enough amount of damage, and Raichu is just so much faster in these movement rooms that Raichu is just faster after rank C. And he's obviously way faster in rank S, because in rank S Rattata starts to get very weak and will die to pretty much everything.
Yeah, Rattata's power is like in the 300 to 388, and Raichu's upper power is like 1688. So
yeah,
the Pokemon that are transferred in from other save files are synced down, or password Pokemon or transferred in from other files. They're all synced down to 1 point below the rank power. And that puts, like in rank B, this Raichu at 199 power rather than 200, which, by the way, is why we still need to get a 200 power Pokemon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, password Pokemon doesn't... Password or transferring Pokemon doesn't make it so that we can just go into each Battle Royale, because the game is not that dumb. Overall, this game was actually pretty well made. There really isn't any glitches or exploits. The only thing that you could really consider a glitch is the fact that there isn't really a thing... bonking is not really existent in this game. The only thing that actually stops your character from moving is if you stop it. So if you just stop holding the controller, or if a Pokemon hits you. Otherwise, you're always moving no matter what you're walking into. So I can walk on walls, I can just continue to walk into a Pokemon, and it won't stop me.
Hi, Jinx.
Oh heck! Can you do your Ooh, hey, there we go. Are we gonna get the JP? Are we gonna get the JP?
Oh no.
JP, are we gonna get it?
Oh no.
Oh hell yeah, we got the JP. All right. So this is something. This was something that was recently discovered by your my one and only co-commentator, JP. We did a Pokemon Rumble All Stages Password Showcase a week or two ago with Whom and JP as the racers, and I was commentating. So what happened was JP got the 100 power in the 5th stage of Fiery Furnace in Rank C. So after he got that power, kind of just autopiloted and went right into the Battle Royale and forgot to go into the 6th stage. So at the time we were just like, oh gosh, what is he doing? But then like he had to go back to the stage later on in the run when he had a much higher power. So that means that he killed the boss of that rank a lot quicker, and he was also able to use Raichu instead of having to use Rattata. So pretty much just sparked some questioning on the routing. And it unfortunately added a lot of RNG, or more RNG to the run, because as a whole, all stages passwords removes a lot of RNG that we have to worry about in the run in general for speedruns. Because the main RNG point for this run is the fact that we have to get a certain power. But since we go to each stage, getting that power isn't that difficult anymore because we are going to each stage anyway. So we don't really have to worry about getting it as fast as possible. We just have to get it in a timely manner, like without having to waste too much time. So
yeah, so my screw up instantly can save a lot of time, as long as you realize what's going on, which I didn't.
But that's okay, because we saw what happened, and we were able to turn his slight mistake into a cool little route change. And a really interesting thing about this is that in, I guess, like world record attempts, I wouldn't say I would go for this in my own world record attempts at the moment. My time isn't good enough to worry about it. But in theory, you could change the route that we go to each stage based on it getting our early power drop. So, for instance, we go to Rhydon first in this rank because Rhydon is the bulkiest and he also resists electric type. So we just want to kill him as soon as possible. But if we were to get the early power drop that we need, and I were to use that as a part of my route, instead of going to him first, I would go to him like second to last or last, so that I can go to him after I've beaten the Battle Royale and I'm a whole like almost 200 power points stronger. Because obviously right there I just destroyed that Electabuzz, when normally that would take like 5 hits.
4 or 5 hits, yeah. Like if you look at RDA's record run, like you'll see it takes a little bit to kill. And also if you look at the any percent run, you do Electabuzz third, and it takes like 4 hits to kill there too. So it's a big boss time save.
So ideally you would want to have the JP happen in rank C, B, and A, because in S rank it doesn't matter at that point. You can't go back.
In S rank, you trigger the credits when you beat the Battle Royal. So not only does that lose a ton of time because you can't skip the credits, but like you can't easily go back and finish the stages.
Mm-hmm. So this is the best case scenario. Pretty much you'll never get the power that you need in the 3rd stage, but the 4th stage is the earliest you can get the power. As we saw with that Jinx. That Jinx power drop that Jinx boss drop is really, really good luck. And that's the kind of stuff that we want to see happen in each rank, C, B, and A, because we want that 4th boss to drop. If you get the 5th boss, it's obviously still a little time save, just not as much. So yeah. So now we still beat all the stages, we beat the Battle Royale, so now we just go right to the next rank.
Notice how this run now has the worst run and the worst possible RNG and the best possible RNG. So
yeah, get to showcase a little bit of it, you know. So like I said in rank C, the way that we routed each stage was just the defense of each Pokemon, because normal type attacks do neutral damage to everything. So we don't have to worry about type advantage or anything like that. We just have to worry about how bulky the Pokemon is. But with Raichu, since it's a specific type that has advantages and disadvantages, we also have to keep that in mind with our with the bosses of each stage and like when we go to them, and also their defense. this is a pretty good explanation of that as well, because the boss here is Lapras, which electric type is obviously super effective, but Lapras is so bulky that it still takes a crap ton more hits to kill the Lapras than it does to kill the other the other bosses in the rank. So we still go to Lapras first. I sometimes don't really like to stay in one spot when I'm doing the bosses. It gets a little nerve-wracking, kind of. Because the other Pokemon can just attack you, and especially certain Pokemon aren't too great to have as like their little henchmen. Slowbro's attack can make me flinch, which can just really make me lose a lot of time. But I also want to always make sure that I'm getting a little closer to the trampoline after each hit that I do on each boss, because, again, trying to get to the trampoline anyway. So the closer I am, it still works out as long as I continuously do damage to the boss. But yeah, now it's after rank B, it gets kind of like, it starts to actually like make a little bit of sense with like the routing that we decide to do. The movement is pretty much the same for each rank, except after, like, as we go on to each more difficult rank, there just becomes more rooms that we have to memorize.
There's more rooms, the stages are longer, like Silent Forest has the longest stage in the entire run in rank F.
Mm-hmm. It's a long one.
The really, really long one. Someone find an out of bounds, that way we can skip.
That'd be insane that some kind of glitches in this game, honestly. Alrighty. There's also certain Pokemon that we try to stay away from. For the most part, Raichu can outspeed any Pokemon's attack, as long as they're not really charging it too far back. Sometimes Pokemon can charge their attack before you even see them on screen. It's just the AI and like their detection of where you are on the map. And then like it also kind of depends on what they decide to do. Sometimes they won't attack. Sometimes they'll like walk away or just kind of stand there. It really is just dependent on the AI, but generally it's all the same. As soon as you get to a certain distance from them, they'll start charging. But there are a few Pokemon where you have to be a little careful from. The one that's the worst is probably Magikarp. Magikarp is the biggest troll I've ever seen in this game.
Magikarp is literally a pinball bumper in this.
I've lost like at least 10 seconds in one run to Magikarp before.
What's bad is Magikarp only appears in rank C and rank S.
Yeah,
like it
really
doesn't
weird.
appear at all in rank A and B. It's just like, wow, why even bother?
Yeah. And the reason that they're like Magikarp is that busted is it uses Splash, so it doesn't do any damage to us. If you've seen it a few times, Agility actually has a hitbox. It just doesn't do any damage because it's Agility. But it still has like a wind box almost. So whenever I use it,
it gives a knockback, a small knockback.
Yeah. So I can use it to disrupt Pokemon that are charging a move, or like if I'm trying to walk in between two Pokemon and it's a little too tight of a space to go through, I can just use Agility and it'll push them away. Instead of having to worry about like using Thunder on them earlier. That Charmeleon was sparkly. I don't know if you saw it, but he was sparkly.
Yes, I saw it on my delay.
I didn't really go for it. The fourth stage is a little like you're kind of highballing.
It could have had the power, but
yeah.
It's still less likely than the boss if the boss drops.
Yeah, pretty much in the fourth stage, you don't really want to waste too much time killing Pokemon that aren't the boss, because that's generally just any percent RNG at that point, which isn't the most reliable, especially in rank A. So we didn't get it in the fourth. So that's upsetting, but it's okay. Let's just not have a repeat of rank C.
Exactly.
Rank A is in every category, rank A is the worst worst rank. Not in terms of like difficulty or anything, but like Pokemon just don't like to drop, and they don't like to be the power that we need. Even in all stages. Get my way.
It's most apparent in any percent.
Yeah.
But all stages is a little easy. And you'll notice that he's not going for all of them as well. Like if this was the last stage, he would likely go for all of them, but like he's only attacking the ones that are likely to drop a high power.
Yeah. And we're in the 5th stage, so it's not too big of a deal. We can also get this Aerodactyl drop. Although I've only had him drop once in my all
this
stages.
Aerodactyl fight.
Aw, no 4-hit, no 4-hit. Similar to other Pokemon games, there are damage rolls in this game. We can actually kill that Aerodactyl in 4 hits, but you have to have a pretty good damage roll to get the 4-hit on him.
I specifically like the Aerodactyl fight because, like, if you just stand in the right spot, the Tangela ads that he spawns with just can't hit you.
Yeah.
Like, it's impossible.
They use Vine Whip, which is a good move for some instances, but not as a whole. It comes out really quickly, but that's about it.
It comes out really quickly and has a long-lasting hitbox.
Yeah.
Like, those are the two things.
They're more so annoying to deal with in like the actual movement part of the stage. Thank you, Nidoking. Appreciate it.
The king.
Yeah, typically A rank is a run killer, honestly. Rank C is usually a pretty important rank. Usually, what are you doing? So like rank C is a pretty big tone setter. If you don't really have a good rank C, the rest of the run isn't really gonna be that great unless you just have a lot of time saving another rank. But for me personally, my rank C's or rank A's are my biggest like reset points. It's kind of weird to think about, but S ranks aren't usually that bad. And we didn't even get to talk about Shaman. This is Shaman.
I was waiting until a later stage to talk about Shaman anyway. So Shaman is our boy for Battle Royals. And the reason that we use Shaman is Shaman has an area of effect attack that hits a whole lot of Pokemon at once. And it has a percentage chance to give the Pokemon that it hits that survive a defense down, which makes it easier to kill the bosses that spawn. So as you can see, he's going through and just trying to hit as many Pokemon as he can in order to clear out each of these waves as much as possible. The first wave has the most Pokemon. The second wave, the next waves have the least, except for the final wave, which has all of the boss Pokemon.
Okay. Oh,
a lot, and another thing about the BRs is that you notice that you're in a ring, a fighting ring, and there are ropes along the edges, and if you hit them, you'll bounce off them, and you will actually take some damage from those. So, especially if you have to switch to the backup Pokemon Blastoise, you have to watch out that you don't touch those, otherwise you'll take some damage that isn't necessary.
Ah, crap.
Ooh, speed down is bad.
Oh, look at that Staryu over here. Alright, that wasn't too bad.
Yeah, that ended up working out pretty well. The Pokemon to actually worry about in there is the Venusaur, because the Petal Dance can confuse you as well. And
really? I've never had that happen.
Oh, wait, no, it's not that. Wait, what? No, it's...
The Petal Dance can just hit you.
One of the Pokemon in that rank can confuse you. One of the Pokemon in that rank can confuse you.
There's some... The confusion moves in this game are like super good. Water Pulse is like the big one. That move sucks. If getting hit by it is like almost always you get confused.
It's a Staryu that has that.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, confusion messes with your controls.
Yeah.
So you can't like turn properly.
Luckily, whenever you're paralyzed, whenever you have like a status affliction, you can pretty much get out of it by just mashing. Either you can both like roll your joystick or your D-pad or whatever, or you can just mash buttons, or all the above. It really doesn't matter. You have kind of like a little bit of downtime to stop mashing if you can react fast enough. But mashing is like the best thing to do if you get a status infliction. But also another thing to note about the battle royales is that there's like a general strat for each one, and there's also a different pattern. For like rank B, there's 4 bosses instead of 3, and in order to spawn the 4th boss, you have to kill one of the bosses that spawned prior. And there's also a general strat of killing the bosses as they come out, because we don't want to waste our time only targeting one Pokemon when we're also having to kill other ones, because you can't really rely on other Pokemon to kill each other. Alright, good spacing. Ooh, nice paralyze.
That's the good spacing.
Oh, what the heck? He walked out of my hit range. Alright, we're good. That went pretty good. Snorlax can be pretty bad. He's incredibly bulky, that's why we go to him first. But the good thing about Raichu like just makes that stage so much easier. That used to be such an inconsistent stage with Rattata. Because Rattata would just not be able to survive the entire fight, because he has his attack is double edge, so it does recoil damage back to him. So eventually he'll just die, and Snorlax will still have enough HP to keep going. So you'd have to use 2 Pokemon, but Raichu's Thunder outranges his Yawn, so I don't have to worry about it. You just have to have the correct spacing.
Out of curiosity, RDA, are you streaming at 30 FPS?
I might be streaming at 30, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Might be gamers. We out here not having the best internet. Not die here. Or I can just die. I try to get out of it.
Ooh, that's unlucky.
Zapdos is very aggressive. Definitely one of the harder ones to kill, and for whatever reason, he's really bulky. He only has 3 dots of defense, but we go to him second because of how bulky he is, and I don't really know why he's as bulky as he is.
I mean, he's a legendary, so I guess.
So are the other ones, though. All the legendary birds.
But he's the best legendary of the birds because he's the fastest.
Oh, I didn't think of it like that.
Shoutouts to Dodrio being totally awful in this game, Bob.
Monka Giga, yeah. This is a pretty scary stage. Pretty like the good thing about Raichu is that Raichu doesn't just die in one hit to everything. The reason I died in like 3 was because I got hit by 2 Thunders from Zapdos. But generally, Raichu can survive quite a bit, especially if you don't get hit during the movement part of the stages. So there'll be strats. This stage in particular, because the boss doesn't do a strong attack as his it doesn't do a strong move as his attack. We can kind of just stand in front of him and let him hit us, and we'll still be okay. While if we were Raichu or Rattata, we'd have to like be very careful of what we were doing.
Yeah, that's the advantage of having a Pokemon as close to the top of the power curve as possible, rather than Rattata, who would be like a quarter power, or no, 2/3 power, 2/3 power.
Oh, this is not too bad. He hit us towards the trampoline, so that's always good. So I'd say this is probably the hardest stage to survive in the rank.
Yeah, Rhydon and Machamp are in the stage in the last 2 stages, and dude, they hit like trucks.
Yeah, they really do. Machamp especially. Machamp is a giant Monka Giga. So we try our best to avoid them at all costs. Again, Raichu can pretty much outrun most Pokemon, and as you can see there, I still outran the Machamp, but only to a certain extent. I can't really outrun them if they start charging like at a certain point, but they're charging kind of late, so I'm able to maneuver around them. I can tank a few hits. It's not really the fact that I'll just die in one hit. It's just I don't want to have too much damage on me for this boss fight. So like I got hit once. It's okay. And I obviously
the 30 damage isn't that bad, but like especially if like you get like a full hit, sometimes the wild Pokemon can stun you.
Yeah.
And that's a gigantic Monkey Giga.
Oh, we didn't get the Articuno drop. Didn't get the Articuno drop. That's okay though.
I mean, it doesn't help as much in rank S, so.
Yeah, it's just not having to worry about getting Pokemon is so much better. It really is. We're just gonna go through this stage. This stage used to be like one of the first ones.
It'll be easy. Oh
yeah, I forgot about that. All right, it's gonna show up in the stage. Don't worry about it. Come on, guys. I want to plug a little bit that this game, especially since the Raichu find, has like absolutely popped off in activity. This game has pretty much just been me with maybe like one or two other people here and there. I did a few runs for pretty much my career of running this game, but the last like 2 to 3 months has been actually insane.
Yeah, a lot of people have joined and done some runs, including myself.
There's been new strats found, which is insane. More like route updates and everything like that, which is super cool. So the game is definitely in a prime right now. Dang it, dude! Didn't get anything right there.
The game's also like really chill to run. Like it's not a hyper frustrating game. Like there are definitely some frustrating things about it if you don't get the power drop, but overall like it's a really chill game to run.
Running around with this fast rodent is quite fun. Not gonna lie.
Oh, here are the pinball machines.
Yeah, trying to. So I didn't get the power yet, so it's a little scary. Something also kind of weird about this game is that water type and grass type Pokemon as a whole kind of suck for like most things. Yeah, see, I've been to all stages and that Pokemon is still not the power that I need. That's just unlucky. So we're gonna try. Last race is pretty good. I don't want to have an instance of rank C pretty much, so I want to try my best to just get the power that we need. There we go. Alrighty.
Yeah.
So typically in my runs, I obviously won't really go out of my way to kill things. I don't really have the time to do that. Like I said earlier, this category is has a lot less RNG in it, even though there is a little bit of RNG now with the new strat. It isn't something that is necessary to PV. But a lot of like small RNG related things, like how the Pokemon in each Battle Royale react, and stuff like that, are very big time losses in this category because of how optimized it is. My PB is about like a minute and like a few seconds off of my sum of best, so it's a little tight. So typically I won't waste my time killing a lot of Pokemon that are in my way. I just kind of go with the RNG. If they don't give me what I need, then it's kind of just how it is. But we are now entering the last Battle Royale. Hopefully it goes well.
I believe. So, timing for all of Pokemon Rumble ends at basically the exact same time. The timing ends when you pick up the coin at the end of the stage, at the end of the Battle Royale S rank. So, like, it's not when you like finally kill the last boss, the last Pokemon, but it's when you pick up that coin.
It's alive. Okay.
Just over there chilling.
That wasn't too terrible of a first wave, but...
That was actually a very good first stage, because there's so much stuff flying around that, like, you can just get hit by, like, freaking Whirlwind and Tri-Attack and, like, tackles all at the same time, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
Hey guys, it's Ty Kevin here.
What's up, gamer?
Yo, what's up?
I'm hopping in voice because I will definitely need explanation on how to time the end of this. I heard JP talking about
time will be coming up pretty soon.
Okay.
I think RDA will call out time.
Yeah, I got you.
It'll happen when the coin is picked up at the... Oh,
no!
Wow, this is really good.
I almost did it. Alright, we're good.
That's on Mewtwo? Oh my.
Yes.
Alrighty. Times are gonna be in like 10 seconds. I'll call it though. It's when I touch the coin. Alrighty. And time.
Yay!
Alright.
Awesome. Let's see how close I got this. Oh, a few seconds early. Not too bad.
Alright, yeah, that's Pokemon Rumble All Stages passwords. This category has come in leaps and bounds. This kind of went from one of the more, I want to say boring categories. There wasn't really much to it. And then with the finding of Raichu and the JP strat and just making the route of all the stages more optimized and more like it just makes more sense as a whole. Even like with relying on power ranges or attack ranges. This game has come so freaking far in only 2 months. So it's really, really awesome to see, and I'm glad I got to showcase it. We have a lot of stuff going on with this game. We have bounties for all the world records. So if you want some money, you can take my world records and get some money.
Money? Who doesn't want money?
Yeah, right? There's also tons of guides, lots of active runners that are willing to help you guys learn whatever you want to learn in this game. There's a bunch of categories to run. And I hope you guys really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I picked up this game right after Summer Games Done Quick, and I really, really, really loved running this game. Like, any percent and all stages have both been really, really fun. I highly recommend picking up this game because it's a very fun, chill speed run that doesn't require a whole lot of grinding, but like it's a simple game that takes a little bit of skill to get a good time.
Yes. Yeah, it does. It's quite simple, but it's very, very fun. So yeah, I don't know. Thank you guys. I really appreciate being able to showcase this with PSR. I love running this game, and I love showcasing it with the Pokemon speedrunning community. So again, thank you guys very much for the opportunity. This was a blast.
Yeah. Thanks, RubberDuckyAssassin. I'm going to get moved over quick here to the intermission. We are going to need to get on the red race quick here to keep time going, so thank you very much.
And I will see you guys later tonight myself.